Hello, welcome to the stream. Uh, so this stream will be, I think, around 1 hour, and I will be going through setting up the project for Litebug. So Litebug is actually a front end for Firefly. So the first thing we will be doing is setting up Firefly. Let's first thing we will do outline of what we will be doing today. So let's see. Oh, apparently the voice is a bit low, so let me check the settings. Hello, how is it now? Hello, is it okay? Okay, so, seems to be good. So let's get started. So first thing in the outline we'll be doing is setting up Firefly, and then we will set up a new React project. We'll be doing this in React. So I think that's about it. Uh, Before we get started, let me just show you what what Litebug looks like right now. So this is Litebug, and this is a data entry front end for Firefly. You can just type in like what you are buying, and these are the transactions that you are doing. It seems to be not authenticated. Okay, so let's say I bought bread, and then it fills up everything. You can enter multiple you can enter multiple items, so bread, water, and so on, and then you can submit this. For now, the Litebug, this version doesn't show your existing transaction history or anything. It's just for data entry. So other than these two things, just setting up, uh, I will be trying this version control system called Jujitsu, and I think, yeah, that's about it. So a bit more background on this existing one is this is done using, I think, Material UI, MUI, and the new one I will be doing from scratch, just using Tailwind CSS. And I think, yeah, let's get to it. Just before the stream, I just set up Firefly using Docker, so just following these instructions on their website. They give us a Docker Compose file and two environment files, and I have to download these three files. So I have it here, the db.env, and docker compose.yml. And inside they had a firefly um, database, and then also a cron job, which is not relevant to what we'll be doing now. And then the two env files are loaded here. For the env file is for firefly, and then the .db.env is for the database. It's using MariaDB. And the these are the settings for the database. I just set a root password as firefly, everything as firefly, for just to make it easy, because this will be just local development. And I have to match it in the .unit file. This will be used by firefly, and host name here actually has to match the service name in the work compose file, so that should be working. And let's see, seems to be running running on port 9000. Register a new account. How do I set up the admin? Storage bar, start container, serve to firefly is running. How to create accounts. Okay. You will see this screen when you run Firefly for the first time. Let's assume you managed to install Firefly using how to guides. So you assume you already registered yourself as it explained in how to guides. Let's see, example, my first account. How to install setup. No, it doesn't say anything about accounts. Oh, okay, so first time it should show a registration form. So this seems to be registration. Email, password, verify security. No, I don't want that. Oh, let's see. Verify password security. No, and register. Okay, we are done. We will create our first bank account here. Let's say just BML current account, balance 0. So currency you normally use is not listed. Don't worry. Okay, done. Welcome to Firefly. Skip. So we have set this up, but before we can actually connect to the API, we need to set up OAuth access. So we need to go to preferences, I think, or profile. Yeah, okay. So profile OAuth, we can create a new OAuth client. Something your users will recognize. So this we will call it Litebug 2. Redirect URI. So this will be like localhost. We will be, let's put it on 9001 and auth handle. confidential. Require the client to authenticate with a secret. Now this will be fully front end. So confidential, we have to turn it off. And now we have a client ID. So we'll have to use this client ID when we connect using Litebug. So yeah, I guess we finished the setting up Firefly. So I think we can get on with the new React project. So right now, create React app is not recommended. So instead, I will use Vite to set up this project. Get started. Okay, npm create yarn. I will use yarn. Yarn create Vite. My web template view. So for React, we have React.js here. Also, this might be good using SWC for compilation. But right now, I will just go with React.js. Right. So one thing I always do is I usually work inside Docker. So let's just create a Docker image for this project. We'll call it Litebug. This service is Litebug, and we'll use node LTS image. Reload. We'll put the project at the root and mount it inside the container at /app. I also keep cache for yarn, so we will mount the cache inside the container too, so that way the downloading the packages will be faster. And for now, this should be fine. We will add more things as we need. So let's see, docker compose run litebug bash. Litebug additional property volume. This is volumes with an S. So we are inside and we can create the app here. The volume has been mounted into /app, so we will create it inside there. Yarn create read and the app name. So this is Litebug, and then the template React.js. I'm not sure whether I can specify a folder for this. Yeah, that's not possible. So what I will do is go into the app folder and then read Litebug template React.js. Okay. Seems to be done. Scaffolding in app Litebug done. Now run cd litebug yarn run dev. So I can go into app Litebug and yarn install. Okay, this might take some time. Hello, Ismat. This is too slow. Where is yarn cache? Does the play some music now? Hmm. Do you guys hear the music? Okay, it's done. So right now the the files are inside the app slash Litebug, which is not what I want. So what I could do is copy them outside. So that's cp minus a litbug dot and dot should include the hidden files .env.asn .ignore. This is okay. Yeah, seems to be okay. So we have set up the container, and then we should, okay, let's see if it runs compose up minus, no, first we'll just go in here and yarn start. Could not find, what's the command, packages and yarn dev. This will need the host flag so that it runs on the, it's accessible outside the container, and it's running on 5173, so we will need to expose that. 5173 5173. And then the one more thing, for we need to set the working directory to /app, and also the command will be yarn run dev. Okay, so we can just run this now, up minus d, and let's see the logs. Okay, it's running, should be accessible. Alright, so we have basic v plus React type setup with TypeScript. What's next? Let's say, yeah, let's just set up uh, the source control. So I'm not using Git for this. So this is a new source control that I discovered recently, and it kind of works a bit different from how Git works. So I think it would be a good exercise to use it for this. Um, Yeah, so setting up JJ Git init. So JJ, its full form is Jujitsu, and it currently uses Git as a backend. So we have to use for any Git command, we can put Git and then the command we want. So once the project is set up, how JJ works is everything everything in the working copy is automatically added to the working tree. So if you add any file, it will be already added, and it's also already committed. So whatever you do is committed whenever you run JJ command. And whenever you run a JJ command, it actually creates a commit called snapshot working copy. So it keeps track of whatever changes you're doing if you use a command. So what we have right now is two commits, the root commit and then the current working copy. And what we can do is we can commit this and create a new commit, or we can just keep on working on this current commit. For now, I will set this as, we will commit this as the initial setup. So now what we have is the parent commit is initial setup, and currently we are in an empty commit without a description. So what JJ recommend is before you do anything, you set the description and then you start to work. Um, so what should we do first? Let's compare this with the old Firefly. Sorry, the old uh, Litebug. First thing we will always need to do is set up the authentication. So I guess we can start from here. I will open the old Litebug here for reference. And yeah, what we have is in the configuration, we have to set up all these things. So in the old Firefly, I set up PAT, personal access token style login. But for now, for the new Litebug, we will just do the open OAuth access. So what we will need is Firefly client. Of course, the Firefly API, which URL the Firefly is hosted on. Firefly client, redirect URI, access token, and I think yeah, refresh token. So let's get started with this. We will create a config.ts, right? This is config.tsx. So this is using a provider to store the configuration. We could do the same for the new one, but maybe I'm thinking like using some state management library instead of this. It might be easier to do that actually, easier than using context provider. So recently I've been playing around with checking out Jotai and Zest, and I also checked out uh, mm, recoil. Yeah, I didn't like recoil at all, and Jotai and Zestenlim seems very simple and easy to use. But I actually went with Zustan for a couple of things recently because with Zustan you can just have the state and the actions here, which I mean, these just like 5 lines of code, so it's just very succinct. But if you're using something like Atom, you have the Atom which shows the, I mean, which has the value, and then you have another Atom which has the, like, which has a getter and setter. So any kind of functions you can put as, actually I'm not sure how you put separate functions. So it just, as far as I have seen, it has a setter and getter just like React use state. So for this, I will just go with Sustan. Let's go into the container. Let's click this and Docker compose exactly bash. So we have a bash here. Yarn add Zustan. Okay, so Zustan is installed. Let's create the Zustan store. So what we need to do is import create function const use bear store. So we'll create a config store. Oops, that's not what I want. Config.ts. Okay. So const use config store equal to create from Zustan, and what we'll have is a function with set as the first parameter, and then we have to return the state. So in the state we should have something, right, like config and some stuff here. I think it's firefly. Just not skip firefly as a prefix. We'll put URL. Well, that's not very descriptive. Yeah, so let's put firefly URL. This will be empty at first. Okay, so before we continue, let's set the type for this config firefly URL is a string, and let's refer to the old one. Firefly client ID is also a string. Redirect URI access token, refresh token. So this is the ideal state of this config, but when we start it will be empty. So I will just set this as is undefined, or no, I'll set it here. So this will be config or undefined. I can just put here question mark here instead. Uh, TypeScript set is declared, but its value is never used. Sure. Config only refers to a type, but is being used as a value here. Oh yeah, this should just, I can just delete it. One more thing is for Zestan to work with types, it needs a bit something a bit different. TypeScript. Yeah, so we pass the state here. Config store has a different structure. So first thing is the config, which is optional, has the config object, and then we have like something like set config. So it'll be like config. Okay. Config store, and we have to call it, and then it's calling another function that it returns, and this will have the property set config is missing in, yeah, okay, so we have to define the set config here because it's a required field. So setters is okay, so it's a function that takes a config and then it calls set, and set function gets the state, existing state, and we will return the new state. State is declared, yeah, we don't need the state here because whatever you pass into config will just return for now. Argument of type void, oh yeah, this is returning an object, and one more bracket. Yeah, looks okay. So we can export this, and let's create let's just commit this first. JJ commit add config store. So one thing before we move on, I think we need to add the routing first, because we will need the config. So we will need a config route and then the main route, which just has the form. So just I will add direct router them really quickly. Create install direct router them local forage match sorter and sort by. No, we probably don't need all those. Adding a router. Okay, so this is main.jsx. I'm not sure we have a main.jsx. Oh, we have, I mean, tsx. So router here, and then router provider, router. So this set we will put here. Yeah, looks fine. So I think installation should be done. Let's see, still works. So that means probably the router is working now. We could add another route. Config page. Let's create a folder called pages, and we'll have our config page here. Export default config page, and let's keep it empty for now. That's it, right? Looks about right. All right. So on to the next step. For the config, we will just have the form here that where you have to enter all the data for the auth. So right now I have PAT and auth separately, but let's just put this form right there. Oh wait, before we do that, you probably should uh, install Tailwind so that we can make it nicer. So again, I will just commit this. What's the status now? No description. So we have just added the config page, but we also added the redirect router. So all right. So next thing is we will add Tailwind. Okay, so what I'm doing here is instead of committing afterwards, I'm just describing the current work that I'll be doing. So if you see the JJ status, currently we have an empty working directory, but this commit message is already here, and there's nothing in this commit yet. And as we make changes, those things will come in. So remove this. Maybe I'll keep just and then Tailwind with wheat. So and to install Tailwind processes auto prefixer. Cannot change it to yarn here. So yarn add Tailwind CSS post CSS and then auto prefixer. Once that is done, we will have we need to use Tailwind CSS init -p, and then we'll get this file, and then we can change it, and then we need to put this into the index.css. Yarn DLX does not exist. Okay. So now we should have tailwind.config.js, and we need to add content index.html and these two things. Okay. And then we'll add this to index.css and we'll remove whatever we have in there now. Main imports index.css. Delete everything and paste in this. And then app.tsx. We leave that for now. Yeah, so that should be it. So let's get started with this. So one thing is I used a theme called Node theme, and I would need to set this theme up in Tailwind in order to use it. Let's see if they have a version for Tailwind. No. Tailwind Node theme. Tailwind Node. Yeah, they have it. In your Tailwind config, require Tailwind node, and then I can use PG node 0, text node 5. Yeah, alright, this is great. When was it last updated? Last year. It should probably work. Let's see. Tailwind config plugins require Tailwind node. Could not find a declaration file for module. This probably. Yeah, this is a type issue. But this is a JS file. Let's see if they have it in types. So types tailwind node, yarn add types tailwind node and minus dev. No, they do not. For now, we will skip that then. So yarn remove, what was it? Tailwind node remove. We'll do without it for now. Yeah, so we have added tailwind and we will commit this. So we can put JJ new will create a new commit. So whatever we did just now goes into the previous commit, which we described with this message. Right, so what we'll be doing now is creating the config form. Oh wait, so just now I made some changes to Tailwind file, right? And it wasn't saved as it should have been. It was saved as saved with the changes for the plugin, which we don't want in the previous commit. So what we could do is we could squash, which is very similar to git amend. We remove this commit message, set up tailwind CSS. No, this is the one we want. So we remove create config form from this. So now we have an empty commit with empty description and then the tailwind one. Let's see the previous commit queue. Uh, what's JJ? Yeah, JJ is a source control system, source control management system similar to Git, but it's a new one and it has a very different workflow. So as you might see just now, whatever changes that you are making, it actually automatically gets added to the commit. And just now I forgot to save some changes, so I was easily able to make those changes and then save it into the previous commit. And it's not just the previous commit, you can actually easily move changes into like ancestors, even like 2 or 3 commits behind. So this is the commit for adding tailwind, tailwind config, and then the yarn log file. Yeah, that's it. So it's all good. Where's the tailwind config? Yeah, this is good. So again, I will need to describe the current commit because there's no description. So what we're going to do is create the config form. Okay, so let's make this more visible. We will make this max w screen sm. This is the size, and we'll set background color of let's put layer 200 just to see if it's visible. I have dark mode on, so I will need to turn it off to see whatever changes we are making. So looking at this, it seems Tailwind is not working. Let's stop and start the Litebug container just to make sure. Yep, now it's working. So just now I made this. Oh wait, What's this? This must be coming from app.tsx, so we do need to remove that. Yeah, that's better. Then we want to center it. Config margin auto. Okay, and let's also center it to the whole screen. We have an easy way to do this, right? Uh, let's use a flex container, wrap this whole thing in it, and then justify center and item center. So both vertically and horizontally center it. So because we are using flex, this thing becomes so small, we need to set, we have a max width, so we need a min width. That doesn't work. Let's just give it a fixed width for now. W64. It's too small. 72. 80. 96. That's the biggest in Tailwind, so let's give it as 96. And then inside this we will have a little padding. Okay, so we'll put this little text description here. If you really wanted to, at fun says if you really wanted to, you could have copied the theme config from the Tailwind node package. Yeah. But I haven't done any theme configuration in Tailwind, so I didn't want to waste time for the stream on that. Maybe another time. Let's round the corners. Rounded LG. Nah. Excel. That's fine for now. We'll need to make this full screen. So that goes to the center. So next thing is we need to add the actual inputs. Text. This will be the firefly URL. We don't really need names when we are using React, but I think it's fine. Better to put it in here. What we have is a firefly URL, client ID, and redirect URI. Let's add the CSS for one input for now, and then we probably should change it into a component. So we'll add rounded corners and a bit of padding. So we'll put x1, y 0.5, or is it the other way around? No, it's like this. So one here, maybe two for the x. Yeah, all right. Now we'll put all the form fields in another div. We'll make it flex column, and then we'll add a gap for the y-axis, maybe 4. And between these two sections also we'll put a gap of maybe 8. Yeah, this is not flex, so we'll need to make it flex to use gap. Alright. And then the other thing is we need a label for something, and this is the firefly URL. Let's give this an ID so that we can refer to it. ID is also firefly URL. This name is also firefly URL. Type children is not assignable type data HTML label. Wait, what? This is HTML4 here. Oh yeah, okay, that's the issue. So this needs to be one thing so that it's the spacing is okay. Oops. We'll make this also flex and flex call, and probably some spacing here. Okay, so instead of repeating this whole thing, we will make it into a component. Let's add state to this. Text input will have a value which is a string, and then change function which has a string as a parameter. And what else? Yeah, this should be okay for now. Later we'll change it if we need anything else. And then this has to be returned because we need other stuff inside there. This is a functional component with these props. So now we can add this value and on change here. And we'll pass it here. And also we'll add the on change handler. Okay, so this doesn't accept something because it has this event as the first parameter instead, and we don't really need we can't really pass it to as a string. We need to take target.value of the event, and that should be it. We can define the variable for that here. Firefly URL, set firefly URL as use state. Alright, so we'll pass it here, value firefly URL, and on change also is set firefly URL. That should work. Type string is not the same with type set state action undefined. So the problem is this has a type of undefined. We'll set it as string instead. String undefined is not accessible to type string. Type undefined is what is this talking about? So it's probably complaining about the value because the initial value is undefined. We could instead set it as an empty string, or we could allow the value inside the text input to be undefined. Now we should be able to type something in, and it should maintain that, but let's instead of use state, we should be passing this to the config store. Yeah, but we should only do that once we have all the values, right? So let's add another 2 values. So now we need a way to pass in the label, and then actually we just need to pass in the label. The name doesn't really matter, but we can add it as a prop. So at least we need the label. And then the name, yeah, we'll make it optional, but let's just add it here. Label and name. Now the other thing is the ID, right? But React actually provides something called use ID, and we can use that to create a random ID that we can use here. And then for here, so what happens with HTML4 with the label, and then we need to match these to because when you press the label, it should focus on the input, and that's how it connects to which input. It knows how to connect to which input. And let's do this. Firefly URL. Firefly URL client ID and redirect URI. Let's add state for those things. Firefly client ID redirect URI. So we have our form set up with all the values. We need a button to submit that. Let's set the button. Button type is submit. And we need to add some classes to this. So first thing is background color. Let's use the blue color, and the text will be white, and some small padding, and then rounded corners. So once we press submit, let's show all the values that we currently have. So use callback. We can actually use this without use callback. So let's just show what happens here if we don't use it. Firefly. Let's put this URL. Firefly URL. This is client ID and redirect URL. Okay, so here we type in here, we can get when we press submit. So now what we need to do is send this whatever is in these values into the store we defined earlier. Let's see what's in the store. Firefly URL client ID and redirect URI. So we can set these three things, but we don't have access token and refresh token at this point. So this might be undefined. All right. And we'll use the store here. We can take any value from the store. So what we will take is the config, the current config. So use config store this function accepts yeah, so to use config store, we need to pass in a function that has state as the first variable, and then we can take anything out of it. So we'll take the config out of this, and separately we can take the other one, or we can just return state as a whole, and then we can destructure here. So the difference will be depending on which part of the state you return here. The re-rendering will be minimized if you take only a small part of the state instead of the whole thing. I think it's called set config. This should have a type config store. Yeah. So here we will call set config, and we will pass the values in. Firefly URL, it's the same, and Firefly client ID is also the same. It's a bit different. D is capital. So I will just rename this, and then Firefly redirect URI. This seems to be the same. Alright, so type string undefined is not assignable, string undefined. Yeah, okay, so we need to check if anything is undefined, we will just return for now. I'll just put an alert. Uh, type undefined is not assignable, so this should be a string. See, it shows as a string here. Here it's string undefined, but when it reaches here, it should be I'll restart the LSP. Still doesn't seem to work. This might actually be the issue with not using use callback, I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't seem to fix the issue. So this is just a TypeScript issue, because once we check if it is not undefined, the value here should be string. It's saying it's a string actually. So set config. Yeah, let's see how it works. Does it actually compile? I think it's okay. We have set the value. How do we check back? I will just console log the config. Config is undefined. If I don't set all the values, it says please set all the values. Oh wait. Oh, I didn't return, so it's actually set the value already. So here I should return. Oh yeah, so that's what happened. Right, So now we are able to set all the values that we need for the OAuth login. Once we press submit, what we want to do is redirect into Firefly so that we can authenticate from Firefly, and then we come back here, and then we will receive the auth code. So I think what we described for this commit, right? It's actually create the config form, and we have done that. So let's just move on to a new commit, and this one will be hmm. Oh yeah. What we could do is use React hook forms to handle this form, but yeah, I think we could do auth implementation first. I think I'll be ending the stream around 10 p.m. So I think we should be able to do auth, and I think we will wrap up after auth. But if you have any questions, maybe we could go through that. So I will need to refer to this how to see how it's done. So what I do here is same kind of function, set firefly config. Once I call it, it's actually, yeah, it's a saving into the local storage. And then where is the redirect? Navigate to auth, navigate to config pat. Yeah, let's see config auth config from here. Once we press submit, we are setting the config, and then yeah, these all the auth login. This is a auth login code PKC. So PKC is actually front-end only authentication for auth. How it works is before before redirecting the user to the auth handler, the issuer, you need to set a secret kind of code, and then you hash it like using SHA-256. You send the hashed value. Let's see if they have illustration for this. Alright, so I think this should be fine. User clicks login link. Is this visible? So user clicks the login link. We will request an authorization code from the authorization server, and server will redirect back to the app actually. Authenticate and cons. Oh yeah, this is the login prompt redirect to the user. The user will authenticate and consent, and the authentication server will redirect back to the app with the auth code, and the app will send an AJAX request now with the code client ID and client seeker, but we are not using client seeker, so this is actually not PKCE. Do we have a PKCE? No. Okay, here it is. So you click the login, and the app generates a code. Uh, so code verifier and code challenge. So code verifier is the raw value, I think, and then the code challenge is the hashed value. And when the user is redirected to the auth client, we only send the code challenge. And then the whole login prompt and the authentication stuff, once it's finished, the auth server will respond with the code. Now we will send the code and the code verifier, the original unhashed value. And now at this point, right, the auth server will save the code challenge, the hashed value. And once you send the code verifier, it will hash the verifier and check if it's the same value. So if those two values match, the auth server and the app can be confident that there was no man in the middle listening to the catching the code here, this authorization code, because without this, just the authorization code won't be secure enough to get the correct auth token, because someone could have been listening here and then they could send the auth code to the server and get an access token. So this is PKC for front end only OAuth access authorization. And yeah, I have done all this in the old one, so we'll just copy those in here. This is generate code challenge. I think it's using some libraries for this. No, it's pure JavaScript, but using the built-in, now we have built-in crypto function within the browsers, so we can just use those. So I will just copy this into the new project. Buffer from is buffer from is a Node.js method. Is it? Hello. Hello, Yazak. Yeah, I just want to see what we have for buffer here. Buffer is not defined. So yeah, buffer is not a browser function. Well, anyway, I guess I would have to install node types here. Types node. Okay. Hello everybody joining so late. This is Vim with LSP configured, so it's using TS server for JavaScript and TypeScript, uh, everything, auto completion, validation, navigation, everything. It's actually NVim, not Vim, but most of the stuff I'm using is Vim compatible. Okay, so it means I will need to install the types, so minus minus dev types node. That should fix that. So what's next? We got the crypto functions. So when we submit, we need to generate the code verifier, set it somewhere that we can access, and then generate the code challenge, which we will pass to the authentication server. Oh, actually, for modern terminals, you can use the mouse with Vim. Even scrolling and selection works. Yeah, this project is, the old version is already available. So I'm just sign up, sign in. Why am I not signed in? Oh yeah, because this is the developer. What's my password? So this is the old project. It's been updated. Yeah. Oh, it's been updated 3 months. Yeah, just update the text percentage. All right, let's continue here. We have copied the crypto functions, and then once we submit, we want to redirect to the auth server. But before that, we need to save the code verifier. So I'll just copy this code right here. 4 lines. And in config page, once you set, then we will redirect here. Firefly redirect URI, generate code verifier, and generate code challenge import. We need to change this to an async function. What else? Firefly URL, Firefly client ID. That, yeah, looks about right. Instead of directly using session storage, we could use Zeston, but Yeah, I don't think it matters. We just set it here and then we'll be redirected and then we don't need it anymore. So let's just leave it. Right, so let's just try something random. So what is buffer is not defined exactly. What should we use instead of buffer? So what we do here in generate code verifier is just creating a random value. Uh, crypto.get random values. And what we want to do is convert this into a hex string. And the way that this works is very sensitive because if, for example, if there's an extra space or anything, the uh, this whole thing might not work because the hash and the value might not match. For testing purposes, we could just return uh, a fixed string and we could implement the this for testing for now. So that should be okay if this becomes an issue. Um, get random values. So crypto get random values. You can call it with a typed array. Yeah, you int array. The return value the same array passes typed array, but with its content replaced with newly generated random numbers. Modified in place, no copy is made. Okay. Okay. So what we are getting back here is this range uint8 array, and we want to convert this into a buffer and then to a hex string. Right. So we have a uint array, and we want to convert it to hex in browser. Buff to hex buffer. Buffer is an array buffer. Return new uint8 buffer dot map x to string 16 dot ped start 2 and 0 join. Maybe this will work, but we will need to make sure that it's the same. Actually, it might not matter because this is just a verifier. Type string is not assignable to type number. Um, what? This is a number x number dot to string. Hmm. Let's separate this and say string is not assignable to number. What does that mean? Oh yeah. So random type string is not assignable to number. Wait, we need to assign this to let's call it verifier. Oh, let's just return it. Yeah. So is it a problem with ped or to string? So the problem is to string. String is not assignable to number. Why not use Copilot? Just haven't got around to any of that. So TypeScript is complaining, but it would work either way. So it redirected to this URL /auth/authorize, and then the challenge code is here, client ID is here. Yeah, yeah. Maybe for the next stream, I'll set it up. And then, so now we have set all that up. Let's give it a try. We have set up our Firefly on localhost port 9000. So that would be the URL, localhost 9000. And the client ID that we set earlier was 2, right? Yeah, client ID 2. And then the redirect URI. So we need a redirect URI within this app, and we can worry about it later, but I think I have already set up something here. No, I haven't. So let's just add URL for this. Or auth/handle, and then we'll just leave it at that. Let's see if it redirects, and then later we can work on this page. Uh, Yeah, so it's now taking us to the Firefly authorization page. We have our client ID tool, the challenge, and everything. Once we press this, we will go back to the handle URL with the authentication code. And now we need to call the backend. Oh yeah, this is 5173, not 9001. Let's um, let's make it so that this gets filled with the value that I put in earlier. So just before we do that, let's commit. I'll check the status. So we added some package, I think. Yeah, the types for node, crypto ts is added, main. Let's see the diff. Crypto is added, and auth handle is added, generate code challenge, redirecting to the auth server. Yeah, that's all. So we will start another change here. What should, oh What we want to do is refill this with whatever we have already typed in. So we already passed these values into the config into the store. So we have the use config store here. What we need to do is make this persistent, this store. So to make it persistent, let's check out the stand uh, recipes, fetching everything, select multiple states, overwriting, async, read from state actions, reading, writing. Where is the persistence? Persist middleware. Alright, so you can persist your store's data using any kind of storage. So, right, let's import the persist middleware. And we need to pass, we need to put this in between our state function, the persist, right here. Let's separate this out. And now we put persist here. So persist requires two arguments. We already have the first one, and the second one is the store configuration. It needs a name and the storage function. So this will be the config store and the storage create JSON session. So this is just using the session storage. We could use local storage here because we want this to be persisted across like browser restarts. So now if I put in any values, let's just submit this. Invalid client ID, yeah. Oh, it's not. Wait, so yeah, we are getting back the config, but we haven't filled in the existing value using those the config. So we will get the config first, and then the use state values we will fill in using the config values. So config URL or empty string. No need, just config URL like this. What's the issue? Argument of type that string identifier is not assignable to parameter of type string. Oh, okay, so it's actually fine if this is undefined for me. So we'll allow both undefined and right. So now we should autofill here and we can then change it and submit. Just now it complained about the ID not matching, but it's probably because it's matched using the ID and the redirect URI. So once we do this, no, still invalid client. Oh yeah. It has to match. So what happened is I put the wrong redirect URL in Firefly. So now it should be okay. And then it will go back to auth handle, and then we can handle the code. So we got 10 more minutes. I think that should be enough for me to submit, send the auth code back to the server, and then get back an access token. So in auth handle in the previous one, I already handled that. So when this page loads, it's in the URL search parameters, right? So we have, yeah, this is the search parameter code. We need to get the value from here. So let's create the page first. Config. We will copy this file and rename it. So this is called config handle. Config handle. And then in main, we'll change this to config handle. All right. All this we had earlier, we will remove except the config. Hmm. Okay, so we will grab the config, the code from the search params, and then uh, we'll just display it here for now to see if we are getting it. Search params.get code. Let's see. Import this from React Router DOM. Oh, by the way, is the font size too small? I think, yeah, I should increase the font size for the stream. Okay, so we should be able to see the code here. Now we need to, as soon as the page loads, we are going to do all this basically. So what we have here is grabbing the code verifier that we set earlier from the session storage. We are getting the code from the search parameters and the URL from the config, and we are going to make a request to the Firefly API. So we're going to do the authorization with the grant type authorization code client ID that we set earlier, the code verifier from the session storage, the code from the URL parameters, and the redirect URI from the config. So this should give us back a response with the access token and the refresh token. Yeah, so I think I can just copy this there and it should basically work. Let's see. Connected successfully. Okay, seems to be working now. Guess it's time to wrap up. Let's just test this out and then we will wrap up. So I have this variable for the progress just to see, just so that we know what's happening. Use state, what's the value? Init. Let's just copy the type and set it here. Load status, import use state, firefly client ID, auth code response. Where is that? Here. Cannot find Axios. Okay, we need to install Axios and then set config, navigate, import this from React Router DOM. No, actually, const navigate equal to use navigate from React Router DOM. And then firefly PAT, we don't need this. And what's missing? Navigate. Okay, so we need to install this and we should be able to test this out. Axios is installed. Import here. And we can display the status here. Yeah, this should work. Let's test this out. Go back to the config page, refresh, go to the network tab so we can see the XHR request, submit, authorize, post request. Localhost 9000, course missing, course error. I guess I will start this at this point on the next stream. Maybe I will fix the course error outside of the stream, as this is related to Firefly hosting, and but probably after this is fixed, it should probably work. So right, that's it for today's stream. We had a connectivity issue a bit earlier, and so I'm not sure at which point the stream got disconnected. But anyway, let's hope it's better next time. All right, I'll see you in the next stream. Bye.